Go figure, you tell Milum to think of a monster that she likes, and she's going to immediately think of a slime. I'm surprised it wasn't a blue slime, and I'm not sure why it was a red slime, other than the fact that it matches her hair or whatever, but she's over there like, I'm good. Oh, there's something else to this whole thing? I just wanted a slime to snuggle with. I'm good over here. I'm surprised everybody else didn't think of a slime as well. Like, Remedy sort of gives this impression that slimes are like the most OP monster in this world. Well, they're technically not. It's just the fact that Remedy himself has like special abilities that makes him godlike as a slime. But yeah, like Veldora over there, he's like, a skeleton. Yeah, they're so cool, aren't they? I'm like, wait, when did we establish that Veldora is like a skeleton nerd and he likes skeleton? It makes sense why Ravenous was like, yay, I get my, armored suit because she likes golems and whatnot. But Veldora with the skeleton, like, yeah, this is so cool. Look, they're so awesome, whatever. I'm like, when did he be turning like a skeleton edgelord over there? But it was great. Episode 74, solid episode. I really enjoyed this episode. We got the introduction of Team Green Fury. We got a little look into Shuna, apparently, helping Rimuru with the advancement of some sort of holy type magic, which was interesting as well, which I'm kind of blinking a bit on, but we'll get into that in a minute. Other than that, yes, also the reappearance of Milum. I'm really happy to see Milum come back. Obviously, Milum is like my favorite character of the series overall. Yes, Luminous is still waifu of the show. I still love my Luminous, but Milum's always been my favorite character. She's just so much fun. Genki little squirt. It makes sense that she ends up showing up again because they mentioned the fact that Hinata went out and killed all the dragons. It makes sense why she suddenly shows up because Hinata just went into a raging fury and destroyed the entire dungeon. But anyways, let's get in the episode proper. Opening up the episode with, seeing how Masayuki has implemented a lot of the, ideas that he had. The fact that he's going down the dungeon and that, yes, they're getting all these ideas incorporated, which was odd because they talked about the fact that they made a door to go to level 95 to go to like all the stuff they established down there, which they talked about last episode. And my assumption immediately went to there's a portal to go straight down there because you're not going to have people going through all 94 floors to get to this really cool place. No, they didn't have a door there. WTF? Like the moment they brought that up, they're like, oh yeah, we made a door to go down there and they pay to go down there. I'm like, no wonder of course you're going to be able to sell more down there because people can actually get to it. Nobody's getting past the lower floors. How can they get to 95? All the Crusaders were able to get to 95. Only Hinata can get there. Of course you're not going to have any... There must be something lost in translation. I'm missing something here because that doesn't make any sense. Why would you have a place that only Hinata can go to? It doesn't... It's so weird. But anyways, they've incorporated all this stuff. And yes, there apparently is some competition. We have Team Green Fury, which I don't recall if we've ever mentioned the individual that's leading this group, but it's an elementalist that is apparently using spirit correspondence. And yes, as we see later on, she's also incorporating her brain. Not so much as the idea of just, brute strength, that apparently she's using her brain. And that we kind of get in the idea later on that she's apparently having them, when they get to the boss room, use their save points, teleport back to the town, reform their party with 10 new people or 9 new people upon themselves, and then they'll have like an entire group of 100 people going to the boss room. I'm like, genius. It's like explaining the systems. I mean, they're the rules, they're following the rules, it's just they're loosely working around the rules in order to exploit a lack of a rule, essentially, in order to get past things. It's so funny because they started freaking out when this whole thing was brought up, and it's like, I don't understand why, or I understand why later on when they bring up the problems with post, floor 50, that makes sense. The whole thing with Hinata, that makes sense. But like they're freaking out about this whole situation beforehand was like, why? Like he says, it's great having two groups. It's not just Masayuki and his, band of heroes that he's just fumbling through with all of his luck and the fact that everybody thinks that he's a genius the entire time and somehow breaks his sword that, indents itself in the back of the neck of this other monster and takes it out. That whole thing. It's more exciting to have more than just that one group. It makes it obtainable rather than just, oh, it's a dungeon for the hero. It's a dungeon that the hero and some other people are doing this stuff. I can now do it. It's not just, oh, it's only a place for heroes. Oh, I can be a hero. That kind of stuff. But yeah, eventually getting into the actual reason to want to be panicking here, which is Hinata got pissed off and killed everything. That was wild. It was when Rimuru was doing his little studies down there. He got his little research place down there. While he was down there, apparently Hinata got pissed off and killed everything in the dungeon. The Crusaders were there training, and they made a comment that even Hinata couldn't defeat these things. It was a golem. And then Hinata just went, on a rampage and just took out all the floors and got to Veldora. Well, no, she took a break at 95, went to the hot springs, then got to Veldora. Yeah, I'm kind of with Rimuru on this one where I'm like, damn, we missed this. We missed this, really, of all the things in all the meetings you've made us sit through. You're going to make us skip Hinata fighting Veldora? Hello? What? That was interesting. The fact that, yeah, apparently she used like all methods she had in order to find something that would work on him. Eventually, yes, doing this big attack, it really impressed him. The fact that she was able to actually scratch him, do some sort of damage, even if it was minor, to him in the end, impressed him in the end. That was cool. And then she asked for a reward. It's like the petty holy knight. No, tell her no. I like how Guard's like, Rimuru, can you? No, you tell him. Guard, you tell him. That's your job. You can't just be here doing your little rubbing your hands together. You're being your little financial man that's making all that money and not have to address when somebody wants your finances. You handle it. You tell Hinata no. You tell that girl no. Which I kind of wonder. They did imply the fact that there is a reward for, I think they said completing 100. I don't think getting to 100. Maybe it was getting to 100. Maybe that was what it was. Either way, yeah, the fact that it wasn't like sanctioned or something like that, saying no ain't gonna happen. I don't know. That was a funny little bit there, but yeah, it does kind of get into how they need to strengthen the whole system going forward. Apparently set up like this really cruel dungeon floor that's going to cause a lot of problems. Going down there, strengthening the bosses themselves. Got to see Ottoman again. Now, Ottoman things was kind of interesting. I don't really 100% remember where a lot of this stuff was established. I do know that I think during the whole fight with Hinata, there was a mention during that time from Rimuru that I think he's mentioned before that he has some sort of holy Spiritron tie-in or something like that. But I seem to remember during that whole situation there was an emphasis on the idea of using holy magic and how I think his tie-in with the Demon Lords sort of does corrupt it a bit, or at least it makes it not usable or something like that. But I seem to remember there was some sort of mention here that he did have the ability to use holy magic of some sort. And it seems like with Shuna being able to sort of, using her analyzing ability, she was able to sort of mimic it in some way. And thus he was able to, at this point, grant them faith and grace. That was cool. Again, I seem to remember a lot of mention of this stuff, so it does make sense that this is now being applied now. I think I could just need to go back and refresh myself exactly how that was explained. And I think Luminous was specifically sort of picking up on that stuff as well. But either way, it was cool being able to give that to him. And the reactions were so dorky, dude. He's just like, thank you, my master. Freaking Shion's like, whoa, step back, don't be touching him. He's got this goofy little face on him. Then they have the new throne room, and Raminus is all, long nose and everything, all excited about this new throne room they made. It was a dorky little bit there. And yeah, apparently the golem's dead. Can't bring the golem back. They don't just repair themselves. They actually have to make a new one or whatever. But other than that, Rimuru doing a lot of his research down there. Again, making the vessels for different individuals. And apparently, as we see at the very end of the episode, apparently creating new, what they call avatar cores. Apparently develops avatar cores. So apparently now Rimuru is just kind of just throwing together crazy inventions and stuff like that. I mean, it makes sense for a lot of the other stuff because he's sort of, again, creating modern niceties in this other world, like trains and whatnot. This one was a little bit different. The idea that he's now developing a way of transferring your soul into something, which was crazy. But yeah, Milum showing up and them creating their own little avatars and going into the dungeon and getting wrecked. It goes to the third floor and they get wrecked by a bunch of newbies. Apparently, we're going to go through a training arc in the next episode. This should be fun, but at the same time, I hope it's fun because I feel like we could do like an entire like side story arc here where they're going to have Rimuru and Milum and all of them just being different monsters and in the dungeon and messing around or something like that. Like the shenanigans of the newbie monsters in a dungeon in another world. Basically reincarnated as a slime to be reincarnated as a with fire spirit thingamajiggy to crawl in a dungeon and get beat up by rookies. Something like that. But yeah, was happy to see Milum come back again. Milum being my favorite character of this series overall. Her coming back, and apparently Gopta and Ranga have finished their training. I'm excited to see them in action, see how much better Gopta and Ranga have become. I'm assuming pretty damn good. Maybe potentially using them as replacements in the dungeon. I mean, that makes sense because it would come up right now. Milum's coming back there because Again, Hinata destroyed all the dragons. Having Gobata and Ranga show up now, they technically have 2 more slots they can fill with the dungeon, because they're apparently trying to figure out everything else. Who's going to go in all these slots for these different floors. So maybe we might have Gobata and Ranga as bosses in the dungeon at some point. They did mention a lot before about the fact that the dungeon itself advances, the bosses themselves can evolve or whatever, but potentially Gobata and Ranga could do that as well. I don't know. Ranga typically does hang out with Rimuru and in his shadow, so maybe not. I think that's pretty much it. There was a little side comment made about the Merchants of the West, which was kind of interesting as well. The fact that they are, doing so well, it's drawing the attention of the merchants of the Western nations. They're now coming in there. And there's a kind of a positivity here that where money is sort of all like other things goes to the wayside. The fact that they're monsters, a nation of monsters, because they don't want the nations of monsters to rise up, all that stuff goes to the wayside. When you have money involved and sort of a need that you have that will be fulfilled by them, you kind of get rid of those prejudices, because it's like, well, I get too much benefit here and they're fulfilling that benefit. Who cares about the other stuff? I don't really care about what you feel about the monsters. They're giving me what I need. That is a good kind of mindset to have there. So anyways, I think that's pretty much it. Solid episode overall. Looking forward to more as always, but I hope you guys enjoy this video as always. If you did, hit the like button down below. If you like this content and you want to support it now more, become a member. Until next time, y'all take care.